Okay, hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is the man in comic books and knowledge therein.
Phil Perich.
That would be the man. Hello, Phil. So, grand controversy erupted in the world of Marvel this week. No, we're not talking about how bad the Inhumans are. No, that was last week. This week, it was the hand-wringing, the worry, the passion over the possibility of a Marvel Cinematic Universe with two Tilda Johnsons. This was very weird because, okay, so it opens up with an actress by the name, or actually a singer by the name of, let me try and get her name right here. I'm not going to get a pronunciation, but I'm just going to Nabia B. She's apparently some sort of a music lady, and she had published this statement that she will be playing Deadly Nightshade, Tilda Johnson, in the Black Panther movie. Okay, so this was her big statement. She said she's never kept a secret this long, but she's really excited to let you all know she will be playing Tilda Johnson. And you can go to CBR right now, go to her Twitter pic, because they never actually post the actual pic. Go to the Twitter pic to go see what it is. And when you click on it, you know what you get?
What?
Sorry, that page doesn't exist, my friend. Because as it turns out, we're still trying to triage exactly what happened, but shortly now, it's important to remember that this was called word because the actress said, hey, I'm going to be Deadly Nightshade in Black Panther. And a couple days later, Marvel said, with no acknowledgement of the Black Panther announcement, and to this moment, they still have not acknowledged the Black Panther announcement, and said, yes, season 2 of Luke Cage will feature both the Serpent Society resident murderer Bushmaster, who is a man with snake body and like big claw things, and the Deadly Nightshade, played by not Nabia B, but Gabrielle Dennis. And here's the thing. The picture's been taken down. I actually went to the IMDb for Black Panther. Nabia B isn't even listed there. I saw someone say she's in like the trailer for like 2 seconds, busting out Claw. But truth be told, I don't, when they say someone's in it for 2 seconds, I don't necessarily know that they actually have a solid enough grasp of who that person is. I think this person isn't even in Black Panther. I think this person just trolled every Marvel fan in the universe.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think she had the role and they either changed it or they said, no, you're not Tilda Johnson now? Or, yeah, was she just looking for publicity? Because, I mean, if you say, oh, guess what? I'm starring in a major Marvel movie or, Netflix show, people are going to sit up and take notice.
Yeah. Well, what I notice is that she is not on the IMDb page.
Yeah.
I did full cast and crew. I put in her name. I did the search. It didn't show up. Now, maybe she's there and I just don't know how to find her. Maybe she has another name that she does acting under. I'm not sure. Maybe she's just not listed there yet. But at this moment, she's not listed in IMDb on the IMDb page for Black Panther. Tilda Johnson and Nightshade are not listed on the IMDb for Black Panther. So it looks like that was all just a big, weird little misdirection. And as it turns out, she is going to be on Luke Cage, which is awesome. We all love the idea of Deadly Nightshade on Luke Cage because, it gets us that much closer to Occupy Avengers. And it does kind of sound like they're kind of taking from the David Walker run on Deadly Nightshade here to put her into Luke Cage, because they make this point that, yeah, she's kind of a person who tries to do the right thing but always winds up on the wrong side, you know. Call her a holistic doctor, which I can't wait to find out what the heck that means. I don't think it's going to be Tilda Johnson with a bunch of crystals. I think you're going to be. Here's what I think. Here's my prediction for Luke Cage season 2. I think you're going to get Tilda Johnson as sort of Night Nurse's partner in the founding of the Night Nurse Clinic. You know, how do we patch up these superhumans? And what I think might be a nice little falling out is she starts patching up all the supervillains that are going to be showing up, because let's face it, man. You know, this is this thing that I railed about on about Watchmen, was that how is it no one else is trying to remake a Dr. Manhattan? You know, this is a universe that has had super soldier serum since the 1940s. It has Hulks, it has Abominations. You know, all these things are well documented, especially in Harlem, you know. People are going to be, you know, and once you create something like a Luke Cage, people are going to try and recreate it. And of course, we all remember at the end of Luke Cage, the doctor found his files, you know. And you think about what else was on that. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, my question is, it's Tilda Johnson. Is she turning anybody into a werewolf?
Oh, well, you know, you got to hope. You gotta hope. Did she turn anyone into a werewolf?
Wasn't that her back in that old Captain America storyline where, like, didn't Sam Wilson get turned into a werewolf, and then they kind of like redid it in the 90s. I mean, it was in the 90s again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was Malice in the 90s. I thought when Cap was Cap Wolf, that was actual werewolf lycanthropy. I thought he was actually werewolfed.
It was kind of like, I think it was a mix of mysticism and science, but I think Tilda Johnson played a part in that somewhat.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. She could be studying werewolfism. We'll have to see. And then, hey, maybe we get Jack Russell. We can do a whole Netflix Sons of Midnight series. It'll be great, or Midnight Suns. Sorry. Because Marvel still has the rights to Man-Thing. Never forget that. They're going to figure out how to do Man-Thing right. Moving right along. Yeah, but it's interesting, but it also shows, and it reminds me how often these kind of things happen, where some actor holds up a comic book and says, "Oh, has he been cast for this? Is he in negotiations to do that? Is she going to be this character?" And then nothing ever comes of it, you know. I remember when, you know, and granted, you know, there's other reasons why Simon Pegg maybe wasn't in the Ant-Man film. But there was like all this, Simon Pegg, he's plugging Ant-Man. He's going to be in Ant-Man. Now, of course, he's just good friends with Edgar Wright. And honestly, I think it's just as logical that, he's just good friends with Edgar Wright, and he's hyping his friend's project. And I'm sure he would have had a cameo in it had Edgar Wright actually stayed on. But, you know, I don't think there was ever really honest negotiation that Simon Pegg was going to play Ant-Man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I just think that would be ridiculous. Not that Simon Pegg couldn't play Scott Lang, but, you know, it's like, is Scott Lang really a ginger? I don't know. Moving right along. Okay. Well, now, you know, I was going to have this whole conversation about this two Tildas thing, because this was actually a real thing, because everyone's saying, is this a crack in the cinematic versus Netflix universes? If they have two of the same characters in two different properties, what does that mean? And everyone, of course, immediately went to Alfre Woodard being both the State Department official in Age of Ultron and why am I blanking on her name? Black Mariah in Luke Cage. You know, and you know, and granted, it is you know, it was maybe, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's like you can call it a ball drop, but it's like that's a different kind of thing. That is one actor playing two different roles.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they didn't make her as differentiated in her appearance between the two different roles, but she was certainly differentiated in character. And I think that, you know, flipping that idea that you can be one character and then we'll have you be another character isn't that weird. And it's not that unheard of in genre fiction ever. You know, we all, you know, they actually went and hung a hat on the fact that Peter Capaldi was an extra before he was the Doctor. You know, it was an extra; he was the main character, but or a lead human character in the Pompeii episode. But you know, actually, when you go back in time, you actually see that there were a lot of doctors who showed up on Doctor Who before they were the Doctor. So it's not an unheard of scenario; it's not an unheard of thing. But to actually have two separate characters who are different people, you know, where we had that same character split out in two different places, that's a weird thing. And, you know, people were trying to generate how they were going to do it. We think, well, maybe one is going by the name Nightshade and one is being Tilda Johnson, and that the Tilda Johnson in this universe and the Nightshade in this universe are two different people. And, you know, because, you know, we comic book nerds will always figure out a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one thing we can always say.
Just think how happy you would have been if they would have been like, oh, these are the Johnson sisters.
Oh, that would have been awesome. One's good, one's evil, or one's evil, one's slightly less evil.
Or they make one Nighthawk and the other one's like, you know, like behind the scenes tech support.
No. You know what you do? You have one be Nightshade and one be Nighthawk.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, or they take turns in this, you know, they both take turns in one identity.
No, they had to be enemies because they're sisters. And it's like, you know, whenever you have siblings in a comic book, they have to be enemies. They ought to be. I don't know. That's just my take on it. I still say that Nathaniel Richards went back in time and, you know, slept with Doom's mom. Although now with what's everything since Franklin rebuilt the universe, who knows? Now maybe Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe went back in time and slept with Doom's mom, because apparently they're hanging out together now.
maybe Reed's his own grandfather. Who knows?
Oh yes, just like Tom Arnold and the Stupids. It's a great movie. You should watch it. Certainly, and I can say this without fear of reproach, it was definitely Tom Arnold's best work. Moving right along. So let's move away from the Tilda Johnson controversy, because I think the controversy got settled. It got settled today, because like I said, I went to. It hasn't been officially retracted by anyone that Nabia B said that. Because she still said that, but she's taken down that page, and so it looks like that has been pushed aside. I don't think anyone's going to be talking about it by the time Black Panther comes out. But an interesting thing happened recently in upcoming solicits for the Ultimates. Did you see this? I think it's called Ultimates 100.
Oh yeah, when they go back to the legacy numbering. Are you talking about that the current Ultimates team, I guess, encounters the
Ultimate Avengers?
The Ultimate Avengers from the Ultimate Universe. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's pretty awesome. This idea, because of course, first of it suggests the Ultimate Universe is still has an existence, which again makes perfect sense. Because it's this thing about, you know, when you have this quantum collocation between these characters, you know, when one character shows up in one universe and the other character shows up in another universe, and if you have this infinite possibilities of universes, if essentially the quantum mechanical idea is that the wave function never actually collapses. So, and let me give you, and I want to, who was this? It was, I think it was in one of Millar's stories of the Fantastic Four, where they go on the time sled. I want to say it was Millar. It might not have been Millar. It might have been the guy. I'm trying to remember if that was before or after, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who did Secret Wars, Hickman took over. Because no, it was, I think it was Hitch. No, Hitch was there. I don't know, but I think it was Millar. Anyway, but they do this thing where they do the time sled. And they get in the time sled, and you see all these other Fantastic Fours on the time sled because they're doing their time travel. And it's the Oh, it might have been the guy who came after Hickman. Oh, I'm forgetting on his name, and I really liked his run, but I can't remember his name. Was it Allred? No, I think Allred did the anyway. They're on the time sleds. They're going through time, and you see all the other Fantastic Fours of all the alternate timelines. And then all of a sudden, one and another disappears. And what they say is, well, as we reach our destination, the possibilities of where we're going become less and less, and and all the other possibilities collapse, and we become where we are.
Isn't that back from the 90s, that storyline? Because I remember them taking the time sled back then. Back when Sharon Ventura was on the team.
No. Well, no, this was definitely post Sharon Ventura. They may have drug out the time sled again for this story. I don't know if the previous use of the time sled utilized that multiple.
Yeah, because I remember them seeing like multiple versions of themselves, and then eventually, as they got closer to where they were going, all the multiple versions disappeared. I don't think that was a Sharon
Ventura episode, but anyway, it's not important. The point is that what you're looking at there is a fixed perspective on quantum possibility, which is saying that our view is that we're going to hear, and all the other abilities basically dwindle to where till we get to our point. However, when you actually break that out, each of the other possibilities are going towards their end. And it's not even that they collapse, it's that they come to where they're going, and you no longer see them because they are at their destination. And when you think about something like the Ultimate Universe, every second in the Ultimate Universe, another Ultimate Universe is created. Everything keeps on, piling and piling and piling because it is infinite probabilities, infinite possibilities. Essentially, like I said last week, you don't have 52 universes. You can have a main stem of a universe, but as soon as that universe exists, it has infinite possibilities and infinite probabilities. So as you're breaking down the universe, you're going to see that infinity played out. So yes, which is why the incursion thing was always a little bit weak, because how do you destroy infinity? And the way you argue it is that as each universe has its incursion, enough of the universes are destroyed that eventually you can dwindle it down. But of course, as the obvious state is that not every universe was destroyed. Because we know even in the comic book universe, 2 never had an incursion. Possibly because, as I always say, Otto Octavius, the greatest hero in the Marvel Universe, saved the entire MC2. Prevented it from destruction by separating it from the cosmic web. And because it separated from the cosmic web, it could not be incurred. It could not fall into that. So that entire MC2 universe continues on. Thank you, Otto, for the billions upon billions of lives you saved. You are truly Marvel's greatest superhero.
Oh my! But so yeah, I mean, I see what you're.
Peter Parker.
I see what you're getting at. You can't destroy infinite number of universes, but maybe you can destroy the connection so you can't perceive them or get to them. Or...
Oh yeah, I mean that's what it is. Is that basically, this is one of these things I always say. Is like anytime they talk about the galaxy, the galaxy-wide empire of Star Wars, and you think about, wow, that's so impressive. It's a whole galaxy, all these alien species and beings, all in this one, all under the rule of the Sith. But then you realize, oh, but there are billions upon billions of galaxies in one universe. Like literally, a galaxy is as insignificant as a planet. As insignificant as one planet might be to a galaxy is insignificant to the universe. And the leveling up of a planet to a galaxy is negligible. So when you think about that idea of infinity, even if you're not even going to go with infinity, but just do a huge number, like 100 billion stars and 100 billion times 100 billion times 100 billion, it's a lot, and anything in that scale is almost insignificant. Unless, of course, you give value and weight to sentient life, or even any life. If life has value, then it's all important and it all matters. But it's also a galaxy far, far away, as all galaxies by definition are, except for the one that we're currently in.
But like you were mentioning about the Ultimate Universe, there's something up with that Ultimate Universe, because I think next week is the first issue of the Spider-Man 2 miniseries, where the first Spider-Man series was Peter Parker from the 616 traveling to the Ultimate Universe, and he interacted with Miles Morales there, and he saw there Gwen Stacy, and they told him, oh, we had a Peter Parker, but he died. So like when Peter got home, he's like, I wonder if he looked up if his universe, the 616, had a Miles Morales, and he found one online, but they didn't show, they just showed his expression like, whoa, and that was like the end of the miniseries. So I guess they said, and this is going back to that for the second miniseries, what's up with the Miles Morales of this, that was originally from the 616, especially now with Ultimate Miles Morales over here.
Yeah, well, the idea being that when the Molecule Man remade the universe, because let's not forget, it's not really Franklin remaking this universe. It is the Molecule Man. It's the Molecule Man's quantum separation and superposition that is allowing this universe to come into being. And this is why, like I say, there's something important with the Molecule Man, and why it's important with the Molecule Man is we have to remember where the Molecule Man's powers come from. Where does the Molecule Man's powers come from, Phil?
From the Beyonders universe?
Not from the Beyonders universe, not from the Beyonders universe, but from the Beyonder. And if, mark my words, my theory that the Beyonder of the original Secret Wars is the Beyonder Prime, essentially what is occurring is the Beyonder is remaking the modern Marvel universe in his own image, and that is going to be our big thing. And if we think about this idea that the cosmic cubes are related to the Beyonders, which of course is something that was established, then if the Beyonder is Kobik, then even the Hydra Cap scenario is all part of the Beyonder's plan for whatever he is trying to create in this universe. He is essentially Marvel's own Dr. Manhattan, manipulating this universe to his own ends. Interestingly, along those lines, one of the thing that immediately jumped out at me about the Ultimates crossover is who features so prominently on the cover.
Cap.
Classic Cap. Ultimate Cap, sure. Who maybe is a little bit more of a, I don't like nobody who ain't saying how great America is. But he's still a Cap. He's still a real Cap. He's still an Erskine Cap. And as an Erskine Cap, I think he's going to be way not like in Hydra Cap. And that's another, this is the thing. When you think about, like I said, you have to remember there are these other Caps that are out there. You have Isaiah Bradley. You have a William Burnside. Heck, you have Protocide still out there. All these guys from a different take from the real Cap who weren't altered by Kobik. Who, even if they don't think that something weird happened, may say that Hydra Cap is not real Cap. Or say, we're going to take out Cap. This is actually one of the things we were discussing today was that, Falcon comes back. Falcon is in his own series, and he's the Falcon, not Captain America. Although we see the last issue of he is back in costume, at least on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is important. You know, the idea of the real Captain America coming back. Because as I've said, I mean, Sam Wilson is the real Captain America now. Because the Cap that Kobik created isn't the real Cap. I think we can all agree to that. I don't think anyone's saying that's the really real Cap. That is this manipulation. That is the Pleasant Hill Cap. Because essentially what Kobik did was she Pleasant Hilled him. She created, in the same way that Kobik created histories for all the villains for who they would be in this universe, she created who that Cap was. She suppressed who Cap was to put him into this other role. What's important to remember is that what Kobik did didn't work. Because the people knew. The people knew. And this, I think, is that point that there is something stronger than just the quantum mechanical chemistry of the mind. That there is this spirit. And granted, this is fiction, so we can have spirit as much as we want. There is this spirit that is at play that fights back. Now, of course, in our most recent Secret Empire, we saw the spirit of Cap. He's been fighting back, and his newest ally is the Red Skull. And we're all very excited to see how that plays out, especially because it totally vindicates what we've been saying this whole time, was that the skull that was killed wasn't the real Red Skull, it was just the clone and the tapes, that the real Red Skull was trapped in Steve Rogers' mind, and now they're both trapped in Steve Rogers' mind. And the Red Skull wants out, and Cap wants out, and he knows that Cap's the only one that can get him out. Because if he can get Cap back in charge, maybe the Red Skull can get out of Cap's mind. Go somewhere. Who knows where he's going to go? But, you know, I got to assume Zola has another clone body of his laying around somewhere.
Or, hey, you know, if Kobik comes back into play, she just duplicate, you know, there's all of a sudden there's two Steve Rogers bodies. Yeah. Guess who's in that second one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You just do that whole quantum separation like the Beyonder did to Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four episode thing where they explained why the Dr. Doom in Secret Wars was a Dr. Doom from a different timeline because that Dr. Doom had been destroyed, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But you know what? John Byrne sold it. You said it with a straight face. He sold it.
Well, I mean, I was going to say simply, but it's not simply. During Secret Wars, Doom was dead, and later on, you know, I don't know. Reed Richards tells the Beyonder, well, you know, where did you get Doom from? He says, well, I got him from the future. He's like, well, he was already dead, so you kind of have to recreate Doom whole body and send him back to the Secret Wars, or otherwise all time's going to collapse in on itself, and I don't think even you can survive that.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. And I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying John Byrne said it with a straight face.
In other words, Byrne said, Beyonder, you have to clean up the continuity, or...
Well, really, he was saying Chris Claremont, or not Chris Claremont, he was saying, Jim Shooter, you know, our continuity doesn't work. You know, which is funny because Jim Shooter is a big continuity nerd. But you know what? Any continuity nerd will overlook miscontinuity if it makes a good story. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. You know, there's no such thing as a pure continuity nerd. You know, we all are willing to look the other way when it makes our headcanon work, you know. A lot of what we saw there was, you know, but John Byrne, you know, I mean, honestly, man, as much as, you know, and that, you know, that was the problem with the bullpen back in the 80s was that, you know, it was just a bunch of continuity nerds and none of them could agree on what was canon. And Jim Shooter saying, no, my canon is canon. I'm editor-in-chief. And all the other nerds said, no, you don't get to say what's canon. I'm writing the book. I say what's canon. You know?
And I mean,
that's why there was
compared to how many storylines and books they have today, I mean, everyone should have been on the same page back then in the 80s.
Yeah, well, please. That was when continuity nerds first rose. But now the Emperor Mouse controls all things. And he says, "No, you fools, I will tell you continuity. And it is what makes money."
Yeah.
All hail the Emperor Mouse. Hail Mouse! Anyway, I've always wondered if it was intentional when, was it Spiegel who did Mouse, that he drew Hitler Cat to look a lot like a mouse intentionally?
You
ever notice? Have you ever read Mouse? In the U.S.
I don't.
Basically, yeah. I mean, it was an interesting take, both on funny cartoon animal violence and fascism and Nazism. It's a good. I think it's a Pulitzer Prize winning. I mean, it's definitely an Eisner Award winning book, but I think it might have been like the first graphic novel to win a Pulitzer. I could be mistaken, but I think it was the first graphic novel to win a Pulitzer. Mouse, and I want to say his name is Spiegel, but it's an interesting thing. Now, of course, just because I'm a weird guy, I'm always a little uncomfortable with the depiction of any being as a mouse, because to me, Tom is the hero of the Tom and Jerry cartoons. He is a rodent, and he is eating people's food. And Tom is just trying to be a good guy, trying to protect his house. And, there's actually an episode where they actually kind of highlight this, where they make this point like, oh, the mouse, we should have just always had the mouse as a pet. He doesn't eat much. And then you go inside the mouse's wall, see all their food is stockpiled in his walls, which is all going to rot and make their house stink. And, I have little respect for mice. That's me, especially cartoon mice. But, but don't read too much into that, because I'm not saying that the mice and mouse were, that. I'm just saying it's a bad parallel, because when you actually deconstruct what the mice were in funny animal cartoons, they're not the good guys. Much like, hey, I have to say this, one of my favorite books I read this week was this week's Daredevil meets She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I don't know. I can't see Jen Walters looking at Matt Murdock and saying, you're a good lawyer. I just can't buy her saying that to him. But I do like and she makes this point, like, what is the point of all this? Why are you fighting for this? And it really is, it's really about because he has the conflict of interest.
Well, she doesn't know that anymore, because no one remembers his identity anymore.
I know.
So.
But the point is that because he does have this conflict of interest, what she accuses him of is the point. It's like, it seems like you're trying to make this precedent and not caring about your case, because you're gambling it all on this huge precedent, establishing new law that really, you make a solid argument, but let's be honest here. It is, you can't have an accuser who's unknown to everyone. Mm-hmm. Because there's no authority to adjudicate who is a true superhero and who is a superhero can be trusted. Let's face it, you could have billionaire Bruce Wayne put on a mask and go beat up poor people, and you have that mask guy testify. But if you can't bring in the fact that he's also Bruce Wayne, a privileged wastrel who is well documented as having drunken orgies all night at Wayne Manor, once burned down his own mansion just because he was such an idiot. If you can't bring that into evidence, how are you supposed to judge him as I'm using the Dark Knight Rises story for canon there, because it makes my point. how are you going to say that man can testify in court if you can't bring up what his secret identity is? Then
that's why we need the Superhuman Registration Act to give everybody their nice shiny IDs. Say, here, look, I'm Daredevil. I have my government ID right here.
Osborn was right. That's what we can always get back to. Or if you want to say Tony Stark was right. Tony Stark was always right, except for this most recent time when he was just stupid. Well, actually, he's not wrong with the whole... It got wrong when everyone went to pre-crime. It's like, wait. When did this become pre-crime? Why aren't we just saying, okay, Thanos is going to attack? Let's... because Thanos doesn't have a herald. That's like the great thing about Galactus. Galactus warns you. Galactus sends a herald. And the herald shows up and says, hey... guy's gonna come eat your planet. If you guys have space travel, use it. If you don't have space travel yet, start working on some science, kids. I really hope you've been investing in STEM, in your public school STEM programs, because now is when it pays off. And that is why we must invest in a robust public education system. Because eventually there's going to be a silver guy on a surfboard showing up at this planet. And if we aren't ready to head for the stars, we don't got a Fantastic Four to fight them, kids. Remember that. And if nothing else, if we keep on inventing super science, maybe we'll get a Fantastic Four by then. So basically, we either need faster than light travel or Fantastic Four. I don't see how you get either without heavy investment in STEM for our young people of today. What do you think, Phil? You've got kids. Do you want your tax money going to educate kids?
I don't know. I actually saw a story today. I believe this is real. There was, I forget who it was. I think there was some congressman or something who was pushing for wanted to start a new branch of the military that would focus on space and dealing with any threat from space. And someone else, I think another senator or congressperson was like, no. We don't need that. If we actually going to put money into this, it could just be part of another branch, maybe the Air Force or something. But it was an actual someone actually considered say, hey, we need something in case something comes from the sky.
Yeah, well, not for nothing. That actually is the Air Force. We actually have a branch of the government that does it. That is actually what the Air Force does, is they monitor the airspace, which includes space. That's why they're in charge of our nuclear mess. Actually, I think the Army. Actually, everyone gets something to do with space. But basically, what you do is you fund NASA and then you blow up asteroids, because that is our biggest threat, is asteroids. Asteroids and volcanoes under Yellowstone National Park. Well, they're going to get hit from there. We're going to hit from down here. Basically, we're on borrowed time, and we need science to get us there. We need a Reed Richards. And we're not going to get a Reed Richards unless we throw money at the problem.
Oh, now you want to Reed Richards. That bomb-throwing fool.
Man builds faster than light. I am not changing my stance that he's a bomb-throwing maniac. I'm just saying... The man builds good rockets.
Does he though? You get bombarded. You get bombarded with cosmic radiation now.
Yeah, but the first time, sure. That's the thing. After that, he's good with that. He's figured that it's radiation. Should have listened to my smart friend Ben, the test pilot. Got to remember, Ben was the one who said, dude, there are cosmic rays out there. We have no idea what they're going to do. And he's like, oh, I've thought of that. I'm the world's smartest man. It's like, yeah, but you can't see the forest for the trees, Reed Richards. His space drive worked, but he didn't listen to Ben. He was so worried about government funding. See, that's the problem, is we got to have the government fund these things, because they're the only people with that kind of deep pockets, because they can print their own money. So you got to have the government funding space and exploration so we can get the heck off this planet as soon as Galactus shows up, because he's coming. And if not Galactus, it's an asteroid or an explosion under the Earth, or also a possibility we just planet. One way or the other, we got to go somewhere.
Yeah, but I was going to say, threat from space, either a Galactus or an alien race, yes, it would be horrible and probably would wipe us out, but would we finally get world peace? Because then would the the governments of the world just be like, you know what, we have to team up to stop this thing, or else, you know, we're all done.
Well, you know, first off, and again, this goes to this whole idea of how big a galaxy is. I think that by the time you get an alien race coming to Earth, unless they have it's like this. In order for an alien race to come to Earth, since there is no alien races that we know of in our solar system.
Yeah, they have to have superior technology than us.
They have to have enough technology that they've kind of eliminated want.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing. So here's what if you're gonna have an alien invasion, it's either gonna be the Federation, you know, who are a little bit fascist, let's not kid ourselves, but at least they don't mess around with primitive cultures for the most part. Or you're gonna have predators. Because when you think about what the idea of the predator is, it is an alien race that has essentially eliminated want, and now they're all big game hunters. Because what else is there to do? It's like if they want food, they replicate it. If they want entertainments, they probably have AIs that create it. You know, there's literally nothing they can't have. They still want meaning, so they hunt things. They try to prove that they can dominate something. But they're not. But predators aren't trying to conquer Earth, because conquering Earth is a pain in the butt. Because it's bureaucracy. It's a lot of effort. By the time you can have an alien race that can come to Earth, they're either going to be space refugees, which means that there's some colonial ship that went out 100 years ago from their planet. Like, yes, you are the M-type world. We have come to you. Please take us in. And we're like, we're going to talk about it, you know? Stay in orbit for about 100 years. We'll let you know if you guys can come down to Earth. Or it's going to be from a planet where they have so much energy and wealth that really conquering the Earth is kind of silly, because they've already harnessed stars. I mean, honestly, your biggest problem there is the idea of Vogons. You know, where it's like, if you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's the idea of, oh, no, we're not here to conquer you. We're just removing your planet because it's in the way of the highway. You know, we're building a wormhole through here. Sorry, you know, our biggest, you know, that's our problem. Then our problem is that these aliens are going to like basically build a Dyson sphere around our sun. And, you know, then they're just worried, should we leave those sentients there? I mean, what if we're like, you know, we're like cockroaches to them, you know? And I mean, like literally, like we're gonna crawl in their space sphere, and, you know, that's a problem for them, I can imagine. But really, the idea of the Skrulls coming to Earth to conquer, it seems unlikely, which is why the Skrulls always fail. You know, when you think about it, that's why Skrulls and the Kree always fail. Because essentially, they don't need to conquer the Earth. They're just doing it because their political system needs to have a war.
They're jerks.
They're jerks, but nobody needs to have a war on their world, because there's not like there's no one starving on what was its name? Santorini. The Skrull homeworld, or one of the Skrull homeworlds. There's no one starving on Hala, you know. There's not really a need for them to go out to other worlds, except maybe just to get some more land to live on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, they can terraform the moon into the blue area, and like a billion years ago or a million years ago, they terraformed the blue area of the moon so that you could have a living colony on it. And, you know, why do you need to go conquer another planet if you can just take any rock and turn it into a nice place to live?
Because I know, well, weren't the Kree at an evolutionary dead end? So maybe they're coming for genetic material. Hala needs women.
Oh, well, there you go. But not for nothing.
Why have so many big wars been fought in human history? Religion and women.
No, I mean, religion, women. I mean, Troy was an argument about a woman, but really, it was about, you know, Greeks wanting to conquer Troy. You know, I mean, honestly, the whole thing, all wars are fought over the exact same thing, which is money. someone needs there are limitations of resources, and someone needs to get those resources. That is what I mean. And when you think about like why there's religious conflict comes from a limitation of resources. People get mad because there isn't enough of something to go around, and they seek an enemy. So they're going to say, well, it's the people who don't think the way I do, or oh, it's this group there, or it's that thing there, and that's why you have war. But if you have a culture that is created faster than light travel, you must have created so much other technology to work with that. Even light speed travel requires so much technology that, by that point, it's hard to imagine that you really still have these limitations. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to make an argument, unless you're going to make what is essentially the Independence Day argument, which is that there is no point at which technology no longer has a cost. There is no point where you actually get there. And so all these aliens can do. And this was actually first done in V. People forget that in the 80s, that was when this idea was, and probably wasn't the first time it was proposed, but the idea that when aliens come to Earth, they're not coming to conquer anything. They just want our water and our minerals, and they want to just take what we have because they're basically again, space refugees, except they're space refugees with superior technology. Mm. So they come to Earth, they take everything out of it, and then they leave. And they leave Earth a barren desert world, but then, humans could survive that too, because humans are freaking survivors. Disturbingly so. Oh, okay. I think we got a little off comic books today, Phil, but is there anything else you wanted to talk about tonight?
Should we make a quick mention of who we lost this week, just the other day?
Oh, yeah. Joan Lee, the wife of Stan Lee, has passed. And, and Stan Lee credits her as his inspiration and motivation, Mm-hmm. He always described her as a woman who liked to spend money, so I had to go out and make more money, And he really, truly seemed to love her. And that is...
Well, I should hope they were together. What did they say? 60-some years?
Yeah, well, they were both in their 90s, Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of, Mel Brooks's wife. Whose name I'm blanking on now. And just these people that were just together for so long. And it was just so beautiful, that love. And, and
the timing of this is just so horrible because, Spider-Man Homecoming's out now, and I'm sure this was like a big highlight in Stan Lee's life. And now, anytime anyone brings up Spider-Man Homecoming, it's going to be like, oh, yeah, well, that's like the same week, Joni died.
Yeah. Yeah, although, not for nothing. This is the 6th time that Spider-Man has had a movie. Actually, no, yeah. I'm sorry. 7th time if we can count the 1970s. 8 times if we count the Japanese live-action version.
Yeah, but I'm sure every time's special for him. When a character you create gets a major motion picture, I'm sure the first time was probably, like, wow, but...
Yeah.
And
truth, no, and it is certainly, I'm not even going to imagine the heartbreak that Stan Lee is going through right now. I just, for purely selfish reasons, I hope this isn't the kind of thing that makes it hard for him to carry on,
Yeah, like those stories where you hear, the husband or wife die, and then their spouse goes like 6 months later or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, because when you have that person who's been in your life for so long, and you're reliant on them. Now, of course, they have, Stan Lee has a very attentive and doting daughter, who I'm sure is with him the whole time, and they're crying on each other's shoulders and remembering all of the great love they had with Joni. And I mean, it's a tragedy, you know. I mean, it is a tragedy. Any loss of a loved one is a tragedy, and when, you know, it's one of those moments where, you know, I mean, you know, for whatever you want to say about anything, it's like, you know, we are sad today because Stanley is sad,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, for what it's worth, it is. It's a moment to give us pause, to recognize to both recognize all of our own mortalities, and to recognize how important those people we love in our lives are to us. You know, and you know, one of the things, my father's last words to my mother when they took him out on the stretcher to the hospital before he went into a coma, and you know, a few weeks later passed, was he said to her, "I just want you to know I always loved you." And I think we all hope those could be our last words to our spouse, you know, to the person that, because you know, this is, you know, my wife and I, we just celebrated our 15th anniversary. You know, and I'm not gonna lie, there's been a lot of ups and downs. There have been a lot of weaknesses and difficulties in our marriage and things, but you know, we came through it. You know, we came to an end of it. We came to the other side of all the difficulties in our life, and you know, we found that we were still in love, and that's a powerful thing. Enough to make you not worry about how insignificant one planet or one person is, because love is something that goes way beyond one person. It is that force that even a cosmic cube cannot rewrite. You know, and I think it is so telling that Steve Rogers, even as he's been rewritten to be evil, cannot stop being in love with Sharon Carter. Think about that for a moment. Here's a man who has turned on every friend, who has done what he has done for the evil that he does, but the love he has for Sharon Carter is something that is more powerful than even Kobik, more powerful than a cosmic cube is love. And, you know, I think that is something that both the pleasure and pain of is what Stanley is going through right now. And those are my final thoughts on that issue.
I think we should end it there. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you. Put that in the show notes. More powerful than a cosmic cube is love. Okay, Phil, if people would like to talk to you about the schmaltzy Professor Esser or the stern and taciturn, I don't know if that's a word, Phil Perich, where can they write to you? Where can they talk to you?
Well, if you want to get a hold of me to know the pleasure of working with this wise and this wise lover of life, Charlie Esser, you can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. And make sure to follow Superconnectivity on Facebook, facebook.com/Superconnectivity Podcast. On Twitter, @SuperConnectPod. And check out all our check out all that social media, the Capes and Lunatics social media, because you can buy your merchandise, our t-shirts.
Got to give me one of those.
Phone cases, coffee mugs. Check it. The links are on all our social media, and I'm trying to get it all on all the show notes on all the shows going forward. So check that out.
Yes, and don't forget to call. Leave us a voicemail.
Oh yes.
We'd love to hear from you all.
For Superconnectivity or any of our shows, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES.
Okay. And of course, I don't have nearly as much social media as the master of the Capes and Lunatics, the prime mover, our Galactus, if you will. The good Galactus, the life bringer, the new one. He's still Galen. I'm not as good as that, but I do have a Twitter, and I do have a email address, and I do even have a Facebook. But you can write to me in that old-fashioned email way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters. For some reason, I may be on Twitter someday. Who knows? Follow me at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. Oh, dear beloved listeners, thank you. And viewers now. Thank you for joining us for Superconnectivity. Tune in soon, possibly even before this, for the big homecoming review with me, Tyler, and Lilith. And I think we're going to be doing it live at 7 tomorrow night, Saturday, which was in the past now, because when this posts, it'll, yeah. Anyway, watch for us, man. It's like pop-ups. It's mystery. Where was I? Anyway, thank you for connecting with us, ladies and gentlemen. Please connect with us again. Good night.
Good night, my herald.